And we're going to find out if there is any connection between his trans partner and the question of trans at the moment he shot him. That's very mysterious.
Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Great.
I'm not a conspiracy thing, but I don't know whether he had some type of microphone or earpiece or somebody gave him a signal, but it is a coincidence, put it that way. It could be accidental coincidence. This guy doesn't really think when he shot Charlie Kirk that anything was going to happen to him. He really didn't. He thought he was either going to get away or it was just a lark. Final thought real quick is, where does this madness come from? I was thinking about this, Jack. I mean, this murder took place on a campus, which was appropriate because, not in the good sense, but you trace every one of these things. The pronouns, you list your pronouns on your memo. Transgenderism is a new civil rights issue. You're a transphobe if you don't want biological males competing in female sports. All of that comes from the university. Separate dorms, separate spaces, separate graduations based on race, racial repertory admissions. California legislature just passed that again. That comes from critical race theory in the university.
Listening to Victor Davis Hanson at this stage, I find myself torn. On the one hand, his speculation about coincidences and hidden signals may feel unsettling, almost conspiratorial. But what really stands out to me is his critique of universities as the breeding ground for cultural shifts. Pronouns, identity politics, separate spaces that have spilled far beyond campus walls. Personally, I think Hanson is touching on something important here. The way academic theories often escape the classroom and start shaping real social tensions in everyday life. It makes me wonder how much of today's division can be traced back to those intellectual seeds.
Just to add real quickly, almost immediately there was a whole corpus of lies about the motivations and background of this Tyler Robinson. We were told this is the right searching for a George Floyd moment. Number one, Charlie Kirk had no criminal record. He was an outstanding citizen. He was a father, happily married with children. He formed a nonprofit organization to help people. Very tragic that George Floyd died in police custody, but he was a 8-time career criminal. He had served prison. He put a knife to the abdominal region of a woman whose home he broke in for a home invasion. He would have never been in contact with the police if he'd not been trying to pass counterfeit currency and not then tried to resist arrest. He would have been fine probably if he had not been on methamphetamines and fentanyl. And then the motivation, he's not a right-wing shooter. His parents may have been moderate Republicans, but just read what he wrote on his shell casings. It was Antifa stuff, it was trans stuff, it was sick stuff. Listen to what his roommate and people said about him. And look at his high school people knew, everybody knew he was a left-wing angry people. But there is no evidence at all that he is a right-wing. He is a left-wing pro-Antifa. That's why he engraved his bullets. And his lifestyle was deeply embedded in the left. And so just stop all that. So all of these myths that promulgate about him, about it is just disgusting. And everybody said, well, see, there's been all these dozens for years. Yes, but the trans movement was not in the public mind, in the arena, until the last 5 or 6 years. So the proper diagnostic is to go back and say, when was trans mainstreamed and people became aware of it? And then see what is the percentage of people, not what you say on the university campus, but what clinical psychology said about trans dysphoria as a percentage of the demographic, and then see at that point where it became well known to people, at that point how many of the mass shooters were trans. I don't have that answer, but I have a suspicion that scientific literature will show about 1 or 2 per 100,000 people. And once the trans movement was known of the last mass shootings, it will be higher, much higher than that demographic. The biggest thing that would honor Charlie Kirk is for one of the few times in American history would be for the in-party in a first midterm of an administration and this is kind of a first midterm of Trump's second administration, to win the House and the Senate in a big margin. We're all said that he's going to lose the House, he may lose the Senate. This happens to every president. Don't get upset. Don't let it happen. Get whole armies of young people to register and get out and vote, and just tell the Democratic Party, we're sick of you. You people have been condoning violence. You've been calling the President of the United States all these names. You lie about all of these types of shooting, and we're just tired of it. We're tired of the DAs. We're tired of the blue state model. We're tired of all of it. And we're not going to take it anymore. And so we're going, but unlike you, we're not going to anonymously trash people on social media or commit violence and shoot people. What we're going to do is vote you out of power. And when I've done, I don't know, maybe 50 debates, I've always tried to, at the end of the debate, not be angry at the person. But I will tell you that it's not the same with the left. And I think it's partly ideological. The right is sort of a live and let live. Politics is a compartment of my life, my family, my church, my community, my business, my career is more important than my ideology. But for the left, it consumes people because they think they're morally superior, because the left was always for the victim. And so therefore any means necessary or justified to correct the alleged injustices that allow victims to persist, victimization. So I think we got to be very careful and make that point. It's a left-wing phenomenon at this point.
Watching this entire video left me with a heavy mix of unease and recognition. Victor Davis Hanson doesn't just talk about Charlie Kirk's death as an isolated crime. He frames it as a symptom of a deeper cultural fracture. And honestly, I can't dismiss that. His point that violence today often comes cloaked in moral certainty hit me hard. When people believe they are fixing injustice, almost anything can be rationalized. What I take away is not just anger at the killer or the politics surrounding him, but a deeper worry about how polarized and self-righteous our culture has become. Hanson's insistence that the answer lies in the ballot box, not in rage or retaliation, is something I personally find both grounding and sobering. It's a reminder that if we don't act responsibly as citizens, the cycle of distortion and violence will only grow.